Hello, I'm back. Sorry for my extended absence, but as previously said, I'm back. I'm starting a new series where I break down different rounds from the NAL. This time it's three particular rounds in the game between Parabellum and OXG that happened recently in the NAL. They're all going to be Coke defenses on the side of Parabellum, with Oxygen attacking. Basically the same setup. PB wins the first two, but Oxygen has a nice little change on the third time that they attack it that allows them to actually win the bomb site, right, while they lose the first time. And these three rounds are particularly important because Parabellum wins it the first two times when their back's against the wall, and they manage to force overtime after those two wins. And in the third round is round 15, in which the winner of that Coke defense decides the entire game, and Oxygen made an adjustment to win the entire game and seal themselves 2 points to Parabellum's 1. So, let's first break down the setup that actually is being countered. So, apologies for the bad observer angles, by the way. For whatever reason, during the entire round, this is prep phase, so this doesn't count, the observer prefers to go first-person perspective rather than any kind of bird's eye view angle, meaning that the setup is kind of hard to get a proper angle on midway through the round, so this is the best I can get for you. Sorry. But they have one playing upper arcade. Capcan actually kind of switches with this mute. He plays arcade stairs with the opportunity to rotate back into bunks, and he also has to rotate into break room from upper arcade if he needs. Mute plays in the bunks daycare area, and this creates a triple crossfire that they can use on any potential initiation breach from upper yellow, from break as a second crossfire, and then from upper arcade as a third crossfire position, which we're going to see come into play later this round, which is the strength of the setup. Now, the ground floor people, we have Volwamai that starts the round in throne and later falls back into barrels, as well as a smoke that basically just plays on site the whole round. This might be a slight oversimplification of this strat, but these are the main points and main positions I saw. They switch utility usage slightly throughout the round, but the overall strat and overall concepts behind this strat stayed the same. Now, OXG, as I alluded to previously, on the first time they see this, do decide to go for the initiation side. They breach initiation, but as I said, they have a triple crossfire. Now, Oxygen aren't stupid. They do realize this triple crossfire exists, but they waste a lot of time coring it. And how they end up beating it, though, is they rotate Sleds to outside the break room window. As you can see here in this shot, he downs and later kills the Capcan, allowing these players to have space to push up into the bunk daycare area portion of the map. And Parabellum sees that they can no longer stay on the top floor, notices they've already wasted more than half the round, which is just beautiful for them on a site so dependent on vertical play, which takes time, and executing, which also takes time. Parabellum can simply fall back to throne and waste yet more time. They rotate 2 to site, 2 to armory throne area, and then play with a minute left in a 4v5. Now Oxygen just decides to work picks and later worry about site, which in my opinion is a mistake. They should be rotating now to site. But as you're about to see in an overview in a second, they still have 3 people playing vert curiously. They then rotate with 40 seconds left on the site. But, sorry, I skipped over the overview. Yeah, here, sorry, it is. You see 3 people playing vert with 43 seconds left, and now them rotating. They rotate directly after that, but this means they have 25 seconds, and they're still not in positions to execute. They finally get in those positions, and now they're scrambling to finally take site. No drones. No overall plan because of all the time Parabellum was able to waste on with the original crossfires, as well as the positions back in throne. They get a 3v4, and even though it's technically a 3v5 to begin with, it's still in Parabellum's favor because they can just pick up the scrambling attackers due to no time. So, let's see if Oxygen have any greater success on their second time seeing this setup in round 10. So, Oxygen decides that roam was simply too time-wasting, and they've not yet thought of a way to core it. So, they decide that the best possible solution is that there are only 2 people that start the round on the second floor. So why not just focus on them, take the site, and then worry about the 3 positions on vert later. This is a slight oversimplification, obviously, but this is what they end up doing overall. And I'm sorry, this is actually round 11, not round 10. But yes, as I can see, they focus on direct sight. They have one outside the window. Vert just simply enters the coke, kills the coke player. Gunner's able to trade back with a Kapkan trap, interestingly, to keep them in the game man count wise. But here's the reason this strat is so good from Parabellum. It's because they have main control as well as dragon control, unless you decide to explicitly core them, as well as throne control is very tough to wrestle from them. So despite Oxygen indeed having control of the site itself, Parabellum has control of the entire area around the site, as well as head holes here all the way across the site, making playing in the inside, even if you can get the bomb down and get into a post plant, virtual hell. So that player dies, and then the two remaining players from OXG don't want to play in sight because it's awful to play in. So they're forced outside, where Parabellum can easily defuse the bomb, because Oxygen just never cleared their setup, which they really needed to clear and able to gain true site control. And the final instance in which we see this setup is actually in round 15. Obviously the most important round in the entire game, in which Oxygen finally comes up for an answer to the look PB provides them. And this is where we come back to the crossfire, because OXG realizes that yes, they do need to clear the roam. Despite the fact that there are 3 roamers at a Pro League level, very often the roamers contribute to site, or at least some kind of retake on the site. And as we just saw, you really can't just ignore these 3. So Oxygen comes up with a new plan to clear them. And it's actually pretty simple. Remember how I broke down the 3-man crossfire, 1 break, 1 top arcade, 1 top yellow? Well, if you simply push the arcade player, since this player needs to worry about the breach, there's no one actually holding any cross from top yellow. So you can take a gunfight with relatively easily. So as you see, Kool-Aid rotates back onto the position upper arcade. Kapkan goes to fail break. But as I said, there's a hole right here. 2 people move through the hole and kill the upper top yellow player. And a bit of an issue with this strat, as soon as one of the players on the second floor dies, the entire setup becomes relatively unplayable. Not that you can't get any kills, you certainly can, but you can't really hold the crossfires in the way that they were intended. So, Kool-Aid feels the need to swing out, but is killed from Laxing, who, as always, is somewhere on the other side of the map from his teammates, holding some random cross you would never even think of. This kills all 3 roamers, or this play overall kills all 3 roamers and leaves just the 2 people in sight. So how to worry about them? Well, once you've cleared the roam, I discussed how the roam makes sight playing hell. That works in Parabellum's favor if you try not to clear the roam, but if Oxygen can successfully clear the roam, this turns that on Parabellum's head, to where the other situation in a 3v5 was very winnable from Parabellum, but this 2v5 is rather not so much, because of the way in which OXG managed to clear them. Now, they can play onto barrels, and there's no one playing in throne, so all they have to do is kill barrels and kill sight. And as you can see, barrels has to worry about holes above him, this hatch, as well as anyone trying to walk down, either, or try to walk into throne and challenge him from this rotate, anyone trying to challenge him through this soft wall if they have any potential drone on him, as well as anyone watching down his staircase. As you can see, playing here is pretty much hell. And he simply cannot hang for long and gets killed by Dream. After that's a 1v5, and while admittedly Oxygen does do a little bit of trolling, they still dying to a Kapkan trap, and then Smoke getting 2 free kills. There's really no way you're winning a 1v5 against a team like Oxygen, and Oxygen managed to ice the round and the entire game overall. Overall, I loved watching this game entirely, and there are so many more interesting rounds. This is just the setup and the 3 rounds I personally found most interesting. Anyways, I'll be doing more of these videos in the near future, so make sure to let me know you enjoyed these so I can make as many as I possibly can. I'm thinking about making a similar kind of video on the Dark Zero game, so like, subscribe, all that YouTube BS, and I'll see you on next one.